All right, and we are live, family. The show before the big weekend in sports. If you like athletic competition, Saturday, May 2nd is your day. We got a lot to get to, man. So much happening, man. I'm gonna introduce these gentlemen real quick. We're joined by the trifecta. Mr. Marcus Griffin isn't with us. He'll be back with us Sunday night, but it's all good. In the meantime, from the left to right on my screen, we're joined by Andrew Holly IV,
Hey, what's going on?
Demarcus Broughton,
What's up, my people?
my boy Tim Sheen, last but certainly not least.
Yo, 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 what's happening, people?
All right, man. Like I said, we got a lot to get into. Let's get right in it. NFL draft. Jameis Winston goes number one overall. Um, let's. I mean, the book's been written on that, but Jameis, man, what do y'all think? What do y'all think? I mean, he's taking a picture of himself with a crab leg dinner, there after he gets drafted. Not a good look. Does this guy have? We know he has the talent, but a lot of talented cats have been done in the NFL. Did you see him going towards that route, the Jamarcus Russell route, or do you think he's gonna hang around? A decade from now, will he still be in the league? What do you guys think?
Well, I'll say this: his bust potential is very high. It's very high. It's not the highest in the draft. I think Odell Green Beckham probably has the highest bust potential, but Jameis, he just doesn't get it right now. But I will say this: he's going to a pretty good coach, pretty good coach, pretty good coaching staff. So we'll see how they work him out and then see if he gets his head right because he could play for a while. He's a good player. He's a winner and he's a gamer. But off the field, man, he just doesn't get it sometimes, and it's there. It's very there. So I would say I want to see him do good because I think he can do good. He has a skill set to do good. But right now for me personally, his ceiling without the rings, maybe a Ben Roethlisberger if their defense is right.
Yeah.
Big in the pocket, big arm, can move around. We'll see about the rings. The first ring, Ben didn't win. It was good defense, but I can see that being kind of like his ceiling. Ben's a hell of a player, but
That's true. I mean, Jameis, he's tough in the pocket. I like how smart he is. He loves football, but out the gate with the character concerns, I mean, the day that you get drafted, now you posting pictures of everything that they was criticizing you about before you got drafted. It's kind of like he took 2 steps backwards in one day, just when you thought the kid was finally gonna give you something to cheer for. And then another interesting fact about the Buccaneers, they have yet to give any quarterback they selected a second contract. So right there tells you that this Bucks team wants to win now, and they're gonna be very aggressive. So if Jameis Winston don't bring it, you probably won't see him around after 5 years, and it's easy. I think Mariota was the safer pick because they had nothing on him. Like they did just as much dirt as far as trying to search as they did was Winston, and they had to talk to 75 people when it came to Jameis. When it came to Marcus Mariota, the only thing they found was a speeding ticket when he was late for a charity event trying to get to practice. So that's the only thing they found. So when you talk about being a better prospect, I think a better pro is going to be with Mariota. But Winston, he's clearly the better talent, and he has more upside. But when it comes to knowing who's going to study their playbook day in and day out, be there consistently and being a good teammate and staying out of trouble, is going to be Mariota.
yeah.
Yeah, man. What do you think? I know you've seen a few Florida State games. We know about everything that's happening. I don't know. Our boy Tim. Our boy Tim. He'll be back. He'll be back. But
Yeah,
let's, let's
but to his point, not to interrupt, but to his point about Mariota, that's the thing. Like Mariota's bust potential is the fact that he can't play in the league.
Yeah.
Because he's not ready for the league, and then you got Jameis Winston, whose bust factor is that he can play in the league.
Can he stay there?
Hypothetically, but can he stay in the league? And so it's two different bust potentials, and that's what makes the process so hard. It's not like you got two good guys. Which one you gonna pick? You pick the one with the character. Because I'm telling you, if Mariota played in the same system and same pro style, he would have been number one. It wouldn't have been a question. But those spread quarterbacks are not translating in the league,
They don't.
and we're gonna see. And me and DeMarcus, we're almost gonna touch on that. Maybe we can do that for another topic. Is what's gonna change? Is it either the league's gonna change or college is gonna change? But because
Yeah.
At the rate we're going, we're still going to get 5, 10 quarterbacks who can't play in the league. Only one can.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's like, oh, spread offense doesn't work in the NFL and everything else like that. Then somebody got to teach these guys better, man, because that's all you're going to get. Bryce Petty, Hundley. And you wonder why the quarterback from Colorado State is going third.
Yeah,
Because he's only pro style.
and that's what concerns you the most because what are they not learning in college to have them not pro ready? To only have 2 pro ready quarterbacks and there's still question marks on both of them. What is that to tell you about this aging NFL when you're almost seeing every starting quarterback hit their 30s and they're not losing their jobs? There's no quarterback competitions nowadays. You maybe have a few, but when it comes to elite quarterbacks, when they get those jobs, they hold on to them because the quarterbacks in college are just not growing, or they're
No.
great college quarterbacks and they just don't translate.
No, not at all. You're right, man. I mean, and maybe that's how it's always been. Whenever you have a quarterback, you have him franchise quarterback for a franchise for a reason. You have that quarterback 10, 12, 15 years, whatever. But these guys come out of college, man. I mean, honestly, who named not Andrew Luck has been a stud out of college?
None.
Since
None.
Andrew Luck.
RG for his first year. RG for his first year.
You can say
Fluke,
Vince
man.
Young. You can say Vince Young his first year. You can say
RG3's a fluke.
Yeah.
I mean, look how many games he had to run for 100 yards just to get them to 10 wins. Look how
Yeah.
many deep throws he had to make. All those 80-yard completions. That's not NFL. That's not NFL football.
it's on the NFL package.
You don't get 80 yards every game. He got 80 yards maybe 5 or 6 times in one season. That just doesn't happen. It doesn't
And
happen in the league.
compared to Andrew Luck, who you talk about a quarterback thrown in the fire. How many rookie quarterbacks got to
Yeah.
throw almost 50 attempts a game?
He had to throw
40.
400 yards just to keep that team in games.
So
Yeah.
before Andrew Luck, I guess you could say good quarterbacks to drafted maybe Joe Flacco, Matt Ryan. But you want to let's see how high their ceilings are because
Right.
right now Matt Ryan, he's a year
Yeah,
away from being just another guy.
Yeah, and honestly, they put a lot around Joe Flacco for him to be successful. I mean, he already came into a stout defense that was led by a veteran linebacker in Ray Lewis, and they just slowly put pieces around the offense. They took Ray Rice in the second round the same year they took Joe Flacco. So they knew what they was trying to build. They got the 2 tight end sets when they got Eric Dixon and they got Dennis Pitta. They drafted Torrey Smith. They knew exactly what to put around Flacco in order for him to be successful. You can't do that. You can't be as fortunate to have a stout defense already and bring in a quarterback to build around. It's not a lot of teams that had the talent that the Ravens had when they got Flacco.
And you know what else? You can blame the league, man, because they're not letting people sit on the coaches can't sit on the quarterback for 2-3 years.
No.
They don't have that freedom.
It's over.
They don't have that freedom. Like, hey, 2 seasons, hey, you're gone. You can be done. So you can't even take the Aaron Rodgers route. Let the guy sit for 3 years and then let him come in.
And
Which is what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, they was
Which is what
fortunate
you're
because
supposed to do.
it's a lot of miles on Aaron Rodgers' body that he just don't have. He pretty much saved his body for 3 seasons while he let Brett Favre go out there and chunk up interceptions, knowing I was going to take your spot and win a championship and take over your own city.
Yep. Exactly, man. Let's continue the quarterback conversation, man, because the second pick obviously was another QB, Marcus Mariota. Now the Titans were offered. This is my team, so they were offered a murderer's row by Philly, man. I mean, starters, picks, you name it. A, were they wrong or right for turning down the Eagles' offer? And B, we're talking about ceilings. What is Mariota? Go ahead.
Well, I had heard the Eagles had tried to go up to number 1, but the Buccaneers didn't want it. They tried to trade Sam Bradford, and most stuff wasn't enough.
Yeah.
You know, I was
Kelly quote unquote denied, but that. Yeah.
I would say Mariota. Honestly, if I had to give him a ceiling of who he would have been player wise, I'd probably say maybe a Colin Kaepernick, and so it's like that's an easy comparison. But I'll say a Colin Kaepernick with a better with a better arm touch, with a better arm touch, because Colin has a cannon, but that's it. Doesn't have a lot of touch on it. Mariota, I'll say he does, just because of the system he came from. Plus, he's a gamer. The guy's a gamer. Unlike Colin, who was Nevada small college, so you really didn't get to see the big scale competition. Mariota played big scale competition.
Right.
Big scale competition, big game. So he's polished, really has a good arm. not just crazy. Doesn't have the crazy strength that you would like in the NFL nowadays. But that accuracy and that touch is something that you will need in those clutch situations. It's fast. He doesn't really rely on his feet, which is what I like. And that's a big thing about him is that he's a speedster who doesn't rely on his feet, but he can run. But the thing about it is, I feel like the Titans are going to force that on him, which is not his game. His game is not to be a running quarterback. His game is to be a quarterback and then run when he has to. He just has that ability. I really feel like he has everything set up to do good things, but I feel like the Titans was not in the spot for him to excel. I don't think the Titans were a good fit, just because they don't have a running game right now, which is what you need. What you need with a young quarterback. They don't have that. They have a great coach, and who's a great offensive lineman, offensive lineman, potential coach, whatever.
Never won as a head coach without Kurt Warner, though. Has not proven himself minus Kurt or Big Ben.
But doesn't have offensive line. Doesn't have no offensive line stability, at least I would say. Not to say he doesn't have offensive line. And the offense. Who's Kendall Wright is their number one receiver, if I'm not mistaken.
Kendall Wright and what's the other guy? It's from Tennessee, Hunter. Justin Hunter.
Yeah. Because Nate Washington is down with
Texas.
H-Town. He's down there, H-Town.
Mm-hmm.
So, where's their receiving core right now? Maybe they may draft and maybe they may do some more things.
Green Beckham.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. You got the best.
That's boom or bust right there.
Yeah, you got the best character guy. You got the best, the worst character guy, which maybe he becomes somebody, hopefully, is what you want. Defense-wise, the Griffin, one of the Griffin twins really didn't have a strong year this season.
They got a Rakpo. I think they should have definitely tried to upgrade the defense, at least the O-line. I'd rather them trade down and see if they get any kind of value. I know Ken Wisenhunt is not a big fan of the athletic quarterback. He always wins with the pocket passers. So that's why I just felt it was a little weird. I feel like it was more Titans ownership taking over that pick rather than Ken Wisenhunt actually getting the players that he needed in his system.
Exactly.
And to go back on what Andrew said, I do compare him to Colin, but I think he's a more battle-tested Colin Kaepernick and a better decision maker because he don't just throw the ball out there trying to look for the big play. If it's not there, he'll try to run or he'll take the sack. He's very smart. So I think that's what he changes everything, and hopefully they can adjust to Wisenhunt's offense. But at the same time, they should have traded this pick, upgrade the offensive line. They need bodies, period. They need bodies. Yeah. Defensive linemen, offensive linemen, they got to have some big bodies in there. And Tennessee, they're going to end up in the same boat as Jacksonville. They may be picking 3 and 4 next year with the roster that they have because Green Beckham is still a risk. He shouldn't even be in the second round pick, especially top 5 in the second round.
And he's raw.
Yeah, he should have went a lot lower than that. So I don't really feel like they upgraded at any position, especially with Green Beckham, because looking at the roster right now, he's still 3rd, maybe 4th on that depth chart. Mariota, he may step in, but Mettenberger knows the playbook, and he has a full offseason ahead of Mariota.
And played well.
He played well. They did go 0 for 6, but hey, he don't have a lot of talent around him, and Mariota's gonna come in with that same talent, and they're gonna want him to try to win games. It's just not gonna happen. They're gonna be picking top 5 again next year.
That's kind of the point. That's kind of the point where I was going to end up to is that their draft wasn't as strong as it needs to, and honestly, if you're gonna pick a quarterback that's like Mariota, you honestly have to be like the Seattle Seahawks, and it's unfair to say that. But unless you have a team, that kind of quarterback is not going to flourish because you're putting too much on him, who's not even NFL ready.
And what concerns me the most, I don't even know if they were fully sold on Mariota. I just feel like they was back into the corner, and they didn't want to be that team that let him pass. So I don't even think that's the actual pick that they wanted to make. I just feel like they was backed into a corner, and any trade they would have made, it wouldn't have been fair value. So I just don't think they made the right decision, especially by getting Mariota. They should have traded down, added to get a better team environment, and not just go for the best player available, because sometimes it's not the position you need.
Exactly, man. And so, okay.
No, go ahead. You're right. No, I was just agreeing.
Yeah, I was just saying. Well, that means the Texans can get 2 more. So what is that? Jaguars, Titans. That's 4 wins for H-Town already, and we ain't even started the season yet. You might get one from the Colts. That's 4 or 5 wins.
Man,
And that's what
it's
it
tough.
takes.
It's tough to get one from the coach in franchise history.
Yeah,
Now,
exactly.
I would say this though. Jacksonville, they picked up T.J. Yeldon, who I'm kind of a big fan of. Um,
Okay.
and hopefully they pick up another defensive lineman to help their defensive lineman they have there now. So they're kind of Jacksonville. I would say out of the 4 teams, out of the bottom 2, they are trending up compared to Titans, who are kind of staying the same
Yeah,
because
that because
Yeah.
Jaguars they
Rose
went out and
played
got
pretty
a
well.
yeah they went out and got an aggressive outside linebacker. They got a bell
Yeah.
cow and TJ, and then they went and got help on the offensive line with AJ Cann. So they definitely did upgrade they overall team today.
I can see still bar none. I can see the Texans taking 2 games from Jacksonville.
Easy, easy.
I can see them losing a game from the Titans, depending on if Mariota has one of those games, because the Texans don't play good against running quarterbacks.
Right.
And if he could go off for 100, 150 yards rush 100 yards rushing, 200 yards passing, that's a terrible day for the Texans. I'm not saying they'll lose by like a blowout or something like that, but
We
the
seen we seen
games
what
that
we seen
we
what
seen
Vince
what
Young
happened.
did.
Yeah, and it's the same. It's the
Boy,
same.
I remember that one.
It's
I
the
remember
same.
where I
You know.
was.
To
I'm
the
like,
house at Houston. In
well,
overtime.
let's talk about the Texans though, because they've gone heavy defense. They took a to me it always seems like a stacked defense, but they got Bernard McKinney, second round at Mississippi State, who I like. I've actually seen him play in person. That's actually he's a good linebacker, but
Yeah.
I just don't know if he's right for a Texas team that really needs again quarterback. You need some sort of punch to put you over the top. I don't know. Rate the Texans. We're big in Houston, obviously. Rate the Texans and their draft so far.
This is the thing. It seemed like they went defensive heavy, but if you follow the Texans, you know Texans. 6 out of their 7 first-round picks have been defensive players.
Yeah.
Almost their first and second round picks, almost been defensive players. So this is their MO. They're gonna pick defense regardless, and it's not bad. Honestly, the Texans could have been the Seahawks if their defensive players hit. Honestly,
Right.
the way they draft defensively. It's really hard to tell how the Texans draft did so far, because every draft they do always looks average, a B to C, and so the players either go or bust,
Become
So
J.J. Watt or
and
Kareem Jackson.
J.J.
Yeah,
Watt, Kareem Jackson, and
there you
honestly,
go.
I think with a lot of the players they got in this draft, they're not looking for a J.J. Watt, which I kind of say is kind of upsetting to me that they weren't looking for the star. I think they knew J.J. Watt not going to be the superstar he is now, but I think they knew he had that star potential. Everybody else, I see like these guys are kind of safe, and the reason why I say they're safe is that their ceilings are low. I feel like these guys can be NFL starters for the next 10 years, which is nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with, a potential 10-year starter, whatever the case may be. But I think that's kind of the ceiling you see with a lot of these guys. Some starters so far. Not really that star player, not really that transcendent player. Like I said, we gave the guy Kevin Johnson a lot of slack for him, but just off his skill type alone, if he plays and gains weight, basically, he could be in the league for a while. The linebacker that they got from Mississippi State, he's an SEC. I love SEC products. Those guys are battle tested. Those guys go against pros all year, to me, honestly. And so I like that. But the only thing that would concern me is I'm not so much concerned about Romeo Canal, but is he going to fit in a pro style defense? Like, he's made for pro. He has a pro build. He's made for it. Kind of worry about the weight a little bit, because I feel like he is on the heavy side and become issues, especially rookies who don't know how to control their weight. So that could be something, but I think he's going to do well. And I think if he plays right, you can see a good service linebacker, maybe someone who can replace Brian Cushion whenever that second contract runs out. And then the receiver, he's still up in the air. And honestly, you kind of seen the Texans not be in control of their picks after they got the cornerback. Everybody else was kind of I'm not going to say a reaction kind of pick, but they had
I think I'm gonna have to disagree with you right there, because the Texans they were so calculated with every pick they had. They jumped up 9 spots almost twice. They jumped up almost double digits almost twice, so they got the players that they wanted. With McKinney, You don't have to be concerned about his weight because he's in the 3-4. You have to be big. Romeo Crennel loves the big linebackers. We all know that. He's a thumper. And he's not going to replace Cushion. He's going to save Cushion. What I mean by
Hopefully.
save, he's going to take those big hits off of Cushion because now Cushion can drop back. Now Cushion almost becomes a safety in Romeo Crennel's defense because McKinney is going to be playing up. He's going to be the one getting all those tackles. He's going to be the one playing in the run. He's going to be the one that's going to have to develop his pass rushing skills. With KJ, the main thing I like about him, 5-year player, he graduated, so there's not going to be no outside distractions. He's not going to be missing camp, trying to go back to school. He's done with it. He came back for his senior year because his coach told him, I'm going to take you from a 4th to 6th round pick to a 1st round pick. And that's exactly what he did. He's smart. He's probably the cleanest defensive back that they said they seen in the draft, probably the second best next to Wayne's, other than Marcus Peters, which we already know his character concerns. So that's a safe pick, but you're going to need to address this concern because J. Joe's season, this is his last season, he don't resign. This is the final year of his contract. McKinney, what he's going to bring is that versatility to move all those other players around because he can play outside and inside linebacker. So now some plays you may see Jadeveon Clowney with his hand in the dirt. Same thing with Whitney. Now you have more versatility because McKinney can play all 4 positions at the linebacker spot. Jalen Strong, I'm glad they jumped up to get him because after Jalen Strong and Chris Conley, it was pretty much no-name receivers, and you'll pretty much be taking a chance. So you have to be aggressive, especially now because we don't have another pick until the 5th round. What are you going to get in the 5th round? Most likely nothing. And that's a compensatory pick, so it's not a mid-5th rounder. It's a bottom 32 5th rounder. So we talking about the Texans could have went 60 picks and hope that they land another receiver. No, you got to be aggressive now. You give away DeVere Posey, which we all know how I feel. You give away a 7th round pick, which was compensatory. You give away a 5th round pick. 5th round pick was what? Maybe 16, 516. So you go from picking 516 to picking 539. You're still gonna be in the 5th round, and you jump up and get the receiver that you need. That's a big body that compare to Alshon Jeffrey, maybe a Larry Fitzgerald because of how he snagged the ball out, and he hit a few games.
Oh, he attacks the ball. He attacks the ball.
He attacks and that's all you can ask for is just to have one threat that's gonna jump up there just like Hopkins to take the ball out the air.
Well, then let me ask you this, because maybe I'm looking at it as in a wrong perspective. With the picks they have now, with the way they're picking, I'm not gonna say these guys are gonna be starter or whatever the case may be, but are the Texans drafting a win now? Or are they drafting later? Because the only reason why I said the things I said about the linebacker, whatever the case may be, is that I don't know what kind of Cushion's gonna come back the second season. Is he going to be fully healthy, or is he going to lie about being fully healthy?
It's easier to be fully healthy when you got a 6'5", 250 linebacker attacking rather than Akeem Dent, who's 6 foot, like 230 soaking wet. So when you add an extra set of a big body at the linebacker position, not just a regular guy who's going to come in and compete hard, 6th round pick who's fighting for a purpose because he don't want to get cut again, but a 2nd rounder who was a freshman All-American, 2-time All-American, and SEC first team, you adding a whole different fold rather than Akeem Dent, who they traded away for T.J. Yates. So we're talking about a 2nd round pick is going to be the person next to Cushion rather than a person that you trade away for a bag of chips.
Yeah.
That brings a whole different perspective. SEC linebacker. What does Bill Belichick like? Jamie Collins, SEC linebacker. Dante Hightower, SEC linebacker.
Maya.
You know what they want. It's the same thing with Romeo Crennel. Rack knows what he needs on his defense. He still got Wilfork in the middle. Wilfork's going to eat the double team up. You still got White. Jadeveon Clowney, still a question mark, but if he gets healthy and you get McKinney starting to learn the defense, Cushion is able to roam around because he don't have to take on these blocks. He has a bigger linebacker on the inside taking those blocks on. Whitney Merciless, contract year, a lot to prove.
A lot of people are, really wondering and not second guessing Jadeveon Clowney. But I don't know if people realize this or not, is that when he played those first 2 games, or he played what's the name, he's going to be a player.
Yeah,
he is going to be a player. I don't see any kind of bust. And the only thing I'll say is a bust, maybe an injury, and that's something completely different. But as far as playing in the games, he was looking unstoppable to me those first 2 games before they took him out, and that was him at
Hall of
70%.
Famer Bruce Smith missed his whole rookie year, and look how he bounced back.
It worked out pretty well. And, Bruce Smith, one of the obviously guy got drafted. Everyone, we have all these draft picks. There's almost 300 of them. So many names go. Give me the name in the draft, whether they've been selected or not. That's okay. That you all think is going to come in and do work. Who's the name that we're seeing now? It's only 5 years later. Like, damn, that team made a good pickup.
Man, that's hard. That's hard, man. Because
one name. You know me.
Well, how about one from offense, one from defense?
If I gotta go offense, I go all day Todd Gurley. I already said I think this is the second coming of Adrian Peterson. Even before the draft started, I had Atlanta taking him 8. Like I'm really high on this guy, and only because
he's the Rams going power run game.
And you have to look at the division they're in. Look who they have to line up. They have to find the counterpart to Marshawn Lynch. And hopefully Trey Mason will stay, because if you talk about Todd Gurley and Trey Mason in that backfield, come on, man. You talk about thunder and lightning, my man. Yeah. They're gonna be running all over those guys. And then they still backdoored and picked some linemen. I just love Todd Gurley because he's not a player that's gonna take one player to take down. You're gonna have to get the gang on him. That's how he got hurt, gang tackle. So he's gonna run hard. I know about the injury and everything, but I really think he's gonna bounce back. Like I was telling Andrew, it's a big difference between rehab in college and the pros.
Yeah.
They're not going to sit there and get you fully healed in college knowing that as soon as that leg is 100%, you're going to enter the NFL draft. The real work is going to come when you get to the pros. Now, it didn't work out for, what was the guy from South Carolina? Marcus Lattimore?
Lattimore.
Yeah. It didn't work out for him, but his injury was way more severe than Todd Gurley. But
apples and oranges.
The fact that they knew exactly what to do, they actually took 2 years to see if they had something in him. They're going to give him more time to get that leg healed. They're not just going to throw him out there. They don't need him now. This is drafted for the future. You don't draft a running back at top 10 and want him to play now coming off ACL injury.
So and Fisher said he'll wait.
Yeah, they're going to wait. They're going to wait. I mean, I'll take as long as it's possible to get Marshawn Lynch out that division.
Yeah. My player, and this is, I will say this is kind of biased because I've been watching the team for a while. But I think my guy who's going to be a star, it may not be on the team he's on originally, but I feel like he's still going to end up a star. Amari Cooper, man, this guy is so consistent on every level of the game. And when I tell you, when you see a receiver who wants to run block, like who's looking to crack heads, you haven't seen those kind of guys since
Hines Ward.
You know what I'm saying? You haven't seen those kind of guys since Hines Ward. And sometimes you be having the baby guys. Hines Ward baby, but he's stout. Sometimes you be having the baby guys try to come in here and crack heads. Amari Cooper is the same size as some of these safeties, and just as strong.
Tight end.
And you gotta think about where he's coming from. He's coming from an Alabama product where it's a run heavy focus.
Yeah, if you don't run block, you're gonna be on the sideline.
Yeah, so you talking about a guy who maybe had to learn to love it and end up loving it. Really great blocking, really great hands, and we're talking about at all facets of the game because he's not just a burner, but he has speed to break away. But you're talking about a guy who all phases of receiving is exceptional at every level. He's a deep threat. He's a possession receiver, and he has great route running. Which comes with possession receivers, but sometimes great route running possession receivers don't always. You can be one or the other, but it's all. I'm talking about
had a full combination. That's
full tree.
That's Reggie Wayne all the way.
full route tree. Huge hands. Loves the block. I just feel like coming in, I feel like he's going to be a great receiver. I'm not going to say he's just going to be, it's hard to say a Calvin Johnson or something like that, but I don't see why he couldn't be a little bit under Julio Jones. Only reason why Julio Jones is a little bit bigger, better athlete. Julio Jones is just a freak athlete. Yeah, so ran a 4.3 with a broken foot at the combine. So, this is a freak athlete, but Amari Cooper could be that guy, man. Like, it's the reason why he went number 4. It's the reason why he's out of all the talk about Kevin White. They was like, hey, no, we still got to get this guy.
On the defensive end, I would have said first Danny Shelton, but that was until my man Randy Gregory dropped to the 60th pick, and the main thing about that, now you're talking about a young, hungry madman coming off the edge is not going to show no mercy because every team passed on him at least twice.
Yeah.
So he's not gonna forget that. He's not gonna forget that. He's seen these teams pass up on him because he stayed in the green room for 2 days. He didn't leave. They was talking about him bad on air. He didn't crack. They kept interviewing him right after they talk about him bad. This man is hungry. So I think that's gonna be the biggest defensive star to come out this draft is gonna be Randy Gregory because when you come in the league knowing that you're the best or believing that you're the best and have all those teams pass up on you, now you're looking at Aaron Rodgers on the defensive end.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The defensive side is a little bit harder for me because it really depends on where you go and what kind of fits you go. So it's kind of hard for me to say like defensive guy.
Just fall to the Patriots. They always get somebody. There you go.
They always get somebody good. I probably would say it's easy to go Leonard Williams because he was the number one guy coming in. And I really do like him. He really is versatile. But if I had to go anywhere else, that's hard because I really didn't see anybody that just caught my eye that just made me feel like, hey, he could be a star in the next level or he's gonna be the next guy in the next 5 years. So it's really undecided for me, especially defensive players, because for me sometimes it takes that year. I need to see that first year to really see like how you're gonna be because the thing that's different from offense and defense is that you see rookie of the years on defense. The linebacker from the Panthers,
Luke Kuechly,
came in that dominated the league.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody would have guessed that. Nobody would have guessed that. Nobody would have guessed why. Nobody would have guessed that. And so a lot of these defensive players, it's really about fit because Leonard Williams, I like him talent-wise. Kind of lazy on the pass rush, but every big guy in college is like that, so it's not really, not really crazy. He can coach that up. But he went to, he's a 4-3, he's a 3-4 guy going to a 4-3 scheme defense. Now he is going to a great defensive coordinator coach who's going to work that out. So I'm not going to, and a good defensive line. So I'm not going to knock that. But for me, man, it's hard for me to pick a defensive player. I'll probably have to come back a little bit later after I look at a couple more guys and look at some more. But it's hard for me to say right now. But I would say, honestly, who I think will have the next best 5 years. I can answer that question now. It's a little premature, but I think the guy from Kentucky, just because he went to the Steelers, I think that is a great fit for the Steelers. I feel like Mike Tomlin is a great coach, and I feel like he's probably one of the few players in the best position to succeed and not be rushed.
Solid team this year too under Mark Feet.
What's the guy's name? Bud
Dupree.
Bud Dupree. I feel like he'll have the next. I feel like he'll have a great 5 years.
And I was very upset. I was high on Bud Dupree. I actually wanted the Texans to snatch him, but I'm fine with taking the cornerback, still getting a solid inside linebacker in McKinney, and still backdooring to get the receiver that you need. Actually, the Steelers and the Texans have an identical draft, taking linebacker, cornerback, receiver. So they pretty much know exactly what their needs was, and they both addressed them very well. Yeah. Especially the Steelers getting ghosted in the ball hawk out of Mississippi, man, and Sammy Coates. The Steelers really put some work.
Cinquez ghosted. Yeah. He's nice. Let's jump over to this weekend, man. Let's look ahead to tomorrow. Big day if you're a sports fan. It's good that we have the sages of sports to break a lot of it down. We're gonna get to Maypac. Of course, we're gonna get to that, but we got to start off with Game 7. Clippers, Spurs. The winner of this will move on to face the Rockets. Been a good series, the best one so far.
It's the best series I've seen in a long ass time.
Yeah, man. Prize fighters is duking it out. The Spurs, the champions, don't want to go away. The Clippers seem to have found another gear. For all three,
that was a terrible game. That was a terrible game for the Spurs, by the way.
Yeah,
this last game.
Well, let's start there. Let's start with boy Tim. He came back with us. Who wins Game 7? Who are the Rockets about to play in the next one?
As much as it pains me to say it, we're going to go ahead and we're going to play the Spurs, man. I don't see Pop losing a Game 7. I can't see it. I see us playing the Spurs next round, man.
That's not a bad. That's not a bad.
Don't wish that. I said the Spurs would have won in 6. I really didn't. I really said that Pop is not gonna want to see the Clippers in 7. I know it's the Spurs, but man, Chris Paul looked unstoppable in the second half, and
Blake Griffin too, man.
it just seems like he got something figured out. Like he knows exactly what he needs to do. You need to take that pull-up jumper off the dribble, and they just couldn't stop it. He kept doing the same move over and over. They just could not stop it. The hacker Jordan didn't seem to work that well this game, but the Clippers, they just really out hustled them. Other than Bellinelli coming up with some clutch threes at the end, but I mean,
he's the only Spurs that was playing.
it seemed like it was, because I mean they was pretty much looking for him, and on that last play when they couldn't give him the ball, they didn't even know what to do. They was like, where's Marco? I'm just gonna dribble the ball as the time run out. So I'd hate to see the Spurs, but this is gonna be a hell of a matchup. I really don't have a favorite. But if I had
to pour some juice. Wait a minute. Who poured some juice? Somebody pouring something.
Hey man, pull up. It's H-time.
That was the water. That was the water.
No, it's all good. I was like, man, whoever getting something to drink, it's all good. Go ahead though.
But if I had to pick somebody, I'm actually leaning toward the Clippers, man. I think they really ride momentum. They beat San Antonio twice away. There's not a lot of teams that can say that in a playoff atmosphere that they won 2 road games. They're actually doing worse at home than on the road. So I think they really got to feed off the home crowd. This is pretty much the only team that LA has to cheer for, so I know it's going to be a packed house. And I think they can pull off this victory, man. I really do. I don't think the Glenn Davis injury is going to play a major part. It's all going to come down to the superstars. But if Pop finds a way to shut down Blake and Chris, it could be a long night, but I still like the Clippers' chances.
Okay. Andrew, man, who the Rockets playing? He got the mic off. He don't want to share whatever Kool-Aid he got. He don't want to share. No,
man,
who the Rockets got?
Honestly, I feel like right now it's very trending towards the Clippers. And I'm going to pick the Clippers just because I'm going to take the home team, even though San Antonio is one of the best historically road teams. So the playoffs really don't. It doesn't really matter to them. But I think I'm gonna take the Clippers because they're really trending. I'm gonna take the home team. And to DeMarcus' point, and I remember because we were watching this game together, the playoff Chris Paul that needs to play is the same guy who played against the Lakers the first round, when he had to have these 2K my player games to keep the game in the series. And that's when you kind of realize and kind of seem like, hey, if Chris Paul wants to drop 26 and 12 assists with 2 steals, he can do it. He can do it on anybody, And it's like, when somebody was calling him an MVP the other day, I'm like, hey, I think it was Marcus. I'm like, I'm not knocking him being an MVP. I wouldn't pick him as an MVP. Only the simple fact that there's other players who are gonna take it, and Chris doesn't have these MVP games until it's time he has to. And I hate that. I kind of hate that about him is that it literally takes a gun to his head for him to be like, all right, I'll score, I guess.
He hates it. He hates shooting.
So if Chris Paul,
he's a point guard in the purest sense.
Yeah, that's what Doc said after the game. Doc said that the whole team pretty much had to convince Chris to start scoring. They had to pretty much tell him, hey man, we need you to score as well.
We will lose if you don't. if you don't play.
Please. But yeah, it's true, man. Like Chris Paul's a hell of a scorer, and I hate to put him in this categorization, but Chris Paul is probably the best player in the NBA without a ring right now, and that's sad to say because he should have had one. He should have. He's at this point in his career to say he hasn't had a complete team around him yet. Man.
Yeah, I think that's to call him the best player to not have a ring. I think that's very fair to say.
I mean,
I think that's very
I don't consider Kevin Durant because Kevin Durant still got years. Chris Paul hitting 30, man.
Yeah.
Him and Deron Williams was in the same draft class.
Yeah.
Deron Williams supposed to be a better point guard than him, but they both been in the same prediction. They both haven't been out the second round. So what? Actually, did Deron Williams take that Jazz team to the Western Conference Finals? I think he did 1 year.
Back in
was that the Western Conference or the semis?
No,
the Lakers knocked them out in the semis.
Western Finals, him and Boozer. So, look at that playoff success.
Year. You think about the first year.
Okay.
Playoff success. Deron Williams got Chris Paul. That's sad to say. Chris Paul, he really has to rally around. If he can't win this series, DeAndre's gone. Their bench already is torn apart, so they don't have nobody to lose. It's just feelings in the coach's son. So if Chris Paul can't win this one, he'll never advance. He'll never advance.
Yeah, man, it's gonna get rough. It's gonna get rough. All right, I'm gonna leave it to y'all's choice. I'm gonna leave it to y'all. Do y'all want to break down this Hawks Nets, or do y'all want to jump right into Maypack?
Well, before we jump into 1 and 2, you had mentioned the Kentucky Derby earlier.
Yeah,
The
you got some money
Pharaoh.
on it?
No, I don't have the money on it, but the American Pharaoh is supposed to be the favorite. Supposed to be a lot of good horses. A top horse today got knocked out. He got scratched, so that moved everybody down a lane. So it could be a different result. But the American Pharaoh is supposed to be the favorite. So you may see his name. Could be a possible Triple Crown winner, so just gonna look out for that.
Man, that's the hardest thing to get in the world.
That's a little Kentucky Derby for you.
That's what's up. We cover it all. We cover it all. We don't mess around.
I'll hit the lottery before a Triple Crown run to get hit.
That's about right. That's about right, bro. That's about right, man. Kentucky Derby this weekend as well. If you're a gambler this weekend, man, it could either be real good or real bad for you, depending on the results of these events that are happening this weekend, man. Let's talk about it, man. Maypack. One of my partners, he was supposed to come on, man, but he got out there, some complications out in Las Vegas. He got busy with the weigh-in and whatnot. But I'm hearing it's a good look out there in Las Vegas. Everybody from all corners of the world is there. It's very insane. It's crazy. And it's gonna accumulate this time tomorrow night, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Mayweather Pacquiao, man. Who you got? You are the experts. Tell us tell the listeners who they need to put their money on.
You know, when it comes to me, I'm going for Pacquiao. You know, I think just his aggression on the offensive end. Yeah, man, the aggression. Like, I love Mayweather as a defensive fighter. I still think he's probably the best defensive fighter to go down in history. But when you get an aggressive guy who has nothing to lose, he been 1 year in the ring for so long. And if it's actually a fair fight, and I don't want to get into the conspiracy theories, but if it's actually a fair fight, I really feel this fight could go either way. I'm leaning more toward Pacquiao because I think just the aggression that he's going to show to Floyd Mayweather, I'm not afraid of you. I'm going to punch you. I'm going to punch you hard for 12 rounds. Mayweather hasn't fought anyone like that. He hasn't. Not someone that aggressive that's going to throw 3 times more power punches than you have available in your arsenal. He has never fought no one like that, and that's why I'm picking Pacquiao. If it goes down to a decision, they're gonna give it to Mayweather. You can't lose your first fight like that. So I got Pacquiao in 9.
Okay.
Man, in the words of Kenny Smith, you know, I won't bet against a man that's 47-0. But saying that, I think if Mayweather had a fight to lose, it would be this one.
Mm-hmm.
It's Pacquiao. If he was going to lose one, if he was going to be whatever 47, 48-1, it would be against Pacquiao, man. I believe it's so much beneath the fight that's going to happen. I believe that these two guys generally don't like each other. You know, I believe that Manny Pacquiao really has a strong dislike for Floyd with all of his, you know, legal problems and his domestic abuse. And I think that's something that's going to really drive him to do to pretty much knock out Floyd. I don't see him trying to go the distance with Floyd because, like you said, if it happens to go the distance,
they can't give it to him.
Yeah. So I see him trying to knock him out. And I also see, man, if you watch the weigh-in, he looked pretty happy to be there, man. You know, he looked like a kid in the candy store, like, yes, I finally got this. After years and years of asking, you're finally going to have to get in the ring with me.
Mm-hmm.
You're finally going to have to see what these hands are talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all it takes for a fighter to lose is one mistake.
Yeah.
And that's all that can happen with Floyd. One wrong mistake, get hit with a punch, he could be on that canvas.
Oh,
and
yeah.
The problem is, I don't see Floyd knocking out Pacquiao
at all.
I don't see any end result to this fight to where Pacquiao was laying on the canvas.
At all. You know, the main thing that I stress about is Mayweather has a whole moniker. He has a whole essence about him. The whole Money Mayweather. He needs this. So now you bring in Manny Pacquiao, a guy who lost 2 of his last 5 fights, has nothing to lose. He's not undefeated. He goes into this fight as the underdog, and he loves it. Mayweather goes into this fight thinking he's about to be 48-0, and that's not always the case. Even the best go down. Look what a loss did to George Foreman. George Foreman was never the same. George Foreman went from being the baddest man on the planet to chefing up burgers in his kitchen. Like that's what a loss can do to you. And it'll be the same thing, maybe even 10 times worse, because George Foreman still ain't recovered from that loss, and Mayweather wouldn't recover from this loss. So when you talk about having nothing to lose off pure instinct, I just have a feeling that Pacquiao's gonna come out strong. He's gonna throw every punch he has, because this is the last chance he has to add to his legacy. If not, he's just gonna be another one of the 48-0s.
And I think that goes both ways for both fighters, man. I mean, Mayweather still has one more fight on his contract after this.
In
But,
September.
who else could he fight after this?
Nobody.
You know, who else would you want to see him fight after fighting Pacquiao? So this is pretty much it for him too. You know, this is the, as everybody's calling it, the fight of the century. This is pretty much it. This is what the people want to see. This is the first opponent that Floyd pretty much hasn't chosen, that that he's had to give to people. He likes to pick a lot of his fights. He likes to pick a lot of the fighters that he fights against. So this is gonna be very interesting, man.
I'll say this before I head off. I hear what you guys saying. My pick is obvious. It's going to be Floyd Mayweather. Just because Tim made my point earlier, you can't go against somebody who's never lost. And then also on this type of thing is that Floyd's not just hype. Floyd is excellent, maybe one of the best defensive fighters that we've ever seen. And kind of my point about it is that whatever Manny Pacquiao is great at, Floyd has seen it. You know, for instance, Floyd has seen every type of fighter at their best. So if Manny Pacquiao is what we can say, Manny Pacquiao is a B all around. Everything's a B or A. Well, Floyd Mayweather's played a guy who his right cross is an S, and he defended it. He played every type of singular guy, every type of special fighter there is. The only thing that Pacquiao has that a lot of people that don't have is that his right hand is 100% power. His left hand is 99%. He's one of the only few fighters. He's only one of the few fighters that are equally strong and equal hand, which is scary.
But them southpaws, man, Zab Judah, man, I always bring this up. Zab Judah gave Floyd problems, and that's the reason why Floyd been training with Zab. But Zab is not gonna go full speed with Floyd. That's sparring. Now you got a guy that's gonna actually come in there try to hurt you. That's a southpaw that you've been trying to feed away from fighting southpaws. Floyd don't take on a lot of them. He don't. And he know why, because he struggled against him. His dad said he struggled against him. So when you bring in a southpaw with nothing to lose that packs the power, man, like what else do you need? What else do you need to put that one on that record?
If you're asking for the perfect recipe for them to lose, this is it. And
maybe perfect 5 years ago, but now best chance.
And this is another thing that kind of tears it for me, is that I'm not hype about this fight. This fight should have happened
too long.
Minimum 3 years ago.
Too long.
Minimum.
I'd say
minimum
5.
3.
Yeah, I'd say 5. It would have been it's best at 5. 2008, 2010, that would have been perfect.
Yeah, but minimum, we're talking minimum 3 years ago. So,
But now, like I was telling Andrew, like everything just seems so staged. How they just meeting up at the basketball game, a Heat game with no LeBron James. Like it just seems so staged, So I mean, it's like they just want to get out the way, cash their checks, and go about their business. Manny Pacquiao may be a president in 2 or 3 months, so you just never know what's gonna happen. Man.
I feel like this is just kind of it does kind of have that WWE feel to it.
Yeah, man, it pretty much he could be the Undertaker, and you're looking at the new Brock Lesnar over there, so you just never know.
Definitely a busy weekend in sports, man. As I see Andrew say, you gotta head on out. We appreciate him joining. Appreciate all of y'all, man. Always how we do it. Get out there, enjoy a good sports Saturday. I know out here in NC, the sun finally supposed to come out tomorrow, so that's what's up. Brothers, good stuff as always. We'll see y'all Sunday night.
All right, sounds